So yeah, just to kick us off, I would love if you could just tell me what your work is like these days. Like, what is your job? I know it has changed a lot in the past
Yeah.
year, obviously. So just, yeah, can you tell me more about that?
My work has moved from thinking around technology to deliver numbers to technology and information, right, to technology to deliver the program itself.
Mm,
And so right now I'm working as acting head of tech with that in mind, like looking at the program delivery component and how we can use technology to now, on a slightly more expanded scope, deliver the program and also track the impact. Because unlike previously where we would be more cohort based around the school, now we are more individual based around the student, which is really, really cool. We're able to interact directly with the student and follow the progress of individual students at student level. Whereas before, it felt more of a cohort-based experience with the school. So my work right now is twofold. One, I am working on ensuring that the programs and the various teams have the tech solutions that they need in order to be able to deliver on impact, right? So that's the programs teams, the design teams, and the monitoring teams. That's one aspect, which is a very here and now aspect. Then the other facet of my focus is to build out the tech function so that we are able to see how do we want tech to operate within the space of educate, right?
mm,
Now, this is a more long-term view and a more strategic perspective so that we build out the function and we're able to staff it, strategize, and ensure that we are solving the tech needs of the organization from a comprehensive perspective. There's not
mhm.
just waking up and saying that we need an SMS system that can be delivered, but also looking at what are the rules of engagement? How do other departments interact with tech? How does tech interact with other departments? Where do we want to operate in? Where do we not want to operate in? etc, etc.
So it sounds like your role is one that interacts with, I was going to say a lot of teams, maybe every team. Um,
Mhm.
could you tell me more about like who is your team? Who do you collaborate the most with? And what does that
Mhm.
interaction really look like?
So yes, I do have a team. I have Charity, who we recently hired. She is a product owner based in Uganda. And then we have a new incoming hire who's starting in 2 weeks' time. She's called Letitia. And Letitia is coming in to help with our data systems.
In Nairobi too?
She is based in Rwanda, so we're spread
Really?
across East Africa. Yeah, it's a very remarkable turn of events. We have Kenya, we have Uganda, we have Rwanda, and we have like equal gender representation in a tech
Yeah.
team that never happens. Like it's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
fantastic.
pretty exciting. So those are my core team members. But we interact pretty closely with the monitoring and evaluation team because Educate prides itself in being very data driven. So we really work hard to ensure that we have data tools and processes that are collecting data from the field, processing it as quickly as possible, and pushing out information to the front line for decision making. That's managers back to the field, um, that people can use the data that was collected as information for making decisions, right? Then
Mhm.
we also have the programs teams. So as we scale the bootcamp processes, being very specific about uh, program delivery components becomes increasingly important, right? So being very deliberate about providing tech to the mentors to be able to manage at scale
Mhm.
is a big component of especially the next oncoming bootcamp, and that's part of the reason why it's going to be a bit of a busy season, because in the pilot process we have one major customer who is the VIP or
Right.
the student who we are targeting. So, but as you grow towards scale, you also add in the programs team as a customer because
Mhm.
they need tools and techniques to manage at scale. Doing managing a program with 4,000 students at a pilot is a very different animal to working at 10,000, 20,000 students. You need to be very deliberate. You need to be very efficient. So that's the other component. And the third component, which is what I've just talked about, is looking at the impact delivery. That's delivering impact to the students through technology. And that's usually the purview of the design team. So interacting also with the design teams around what technologies can we use to reach out to the students, and how do they interact with those technologies to imbibe the skills that that we recommend on our impact bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's really helpful. What has maybe surprised you the most about the past year? And specifically, has there been anything that's unexpectedly positive? So any silver linings of the pandemic?
Taking on this new role pushed me to learn a lot of new things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was unexpectedly. So, for example, I can confidently say my JavaScript skills are much better now than they were before. We've also been able to explore and find really cool platforms that we will use even outside outside the delivery, the bootcamp delivery process, but they were discovered as a result of the bootcamp processes.
Right.
And also the expansion of the technological capabilities that we have as an organization. I feel like they'll have a lot of positive effect in whenever we go back to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that we have worked on over the last few months is how to personalize experiences for students, right? So we can also apply that to mentor management. So how do you personalize the experience or the journey of a mentor as we work with them throughout their fellowship period? So discovering these new technologies and processes in the midst of running the bootcamp and doing these pilot processes that will eventually still reap benefits when we go back to schools is a big positive for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That feels really really hopeful, really promising that there's, and I think that goes back to what you said at the top of the call about the shift from the cohort level to the student level, the individual level.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can start to kind of wrap up. So my next questions can be personal or work, but I'm curious what you're nerding out on right now.
What am I nerding out on? So I think the one thing I want to nerd out on right now is PHP. It's the language we write our USSD systems in. Yeah, with Nick stepping out, someone else needs to step in, we step up. So here he is. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, well, last question, just to end on a happy note, what are you feeling excited about looking ahead to the next 12 months, personally or professionally?
Looking back at bootcamp iteration 3.
Yeah. Being on the other side.
Being on the other side of this would make you very happy. I think from a work perspective, we're trying out a bunch of new strategies to increase the capacity of the team, so that we are able to be responsive to the needs of the organization. And I'm really curious to see that will work.
Oh, well, Sam, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, especially knowing that you're wildly busy right now. So thank you.
Thank you too. This was fun.